Hello, I'm Simon Palin and you are watching the Consumer Quarter. We take a look at what's happening in the retail sector and at the issues affecting you as a consumer. In this edition, coming up roses, Valentine's Day gave florists a much needed sales boost.
You get a lot of young guys trying to come in here to smooch up the girls.
And the chips are down. Australian casino operators try to lure Asia's high rollers. But first, Australians are more organised than you may think when it comes to booking a holiday. Tough economic times are leading many to take advantage of early bird travel deals and avoiding the once popular but expensive last-minute bookings. A new survey by travel.com.au shows almost half of us book overseas flights 4 to 6 months before the trip, and domestic bookings are done 1 to 3 months in advance. But the cost of booking an airfare is often a lot higher than you first think, especially when you're booking online. The consumer group Choice has looked at several airline websites and compared how they charge for things like travel insurance, car hire and baggage.
We looked at Jetstar, Virgin, Qantas, Tiger and Rex, the domestic airlines, and we found that many of these sites have incredibly confusing opt-in and opt-out tick boxes that can lead people to actually paying more for their flight than they had originally expected.
And all this comes as the airline industry continues to shrink. Qantas has cut 4 of its international routes as it tries to maintain its domestic market share. And of course, we've heard a lot about budget airline Air Australia going into voluntary administration, leaving thousands of passengers stranded. The Food and Grocery Council wants to make it illegal for Coles and Woolworths to mimic the packaging of popular branded goods for their private label lines. Let's have a look at a few examples. Woolworths offers these Arnott's Scotch Finger Biscuits for $2 a pack, or you can pick up these Woolworths home brand Scotch Finger Biscuits for less than half the price. Woolworths also has a much cheaper home brand version of Nutella hazelnut spread. At Coles, you can get Kellogg's Cocoa Pops, or if you want to save money, you can choose the Coles brand Cocoa Puffs instead. And it's a similar story with Coles' version of Ribena. Now, despite the similarities, the supermarkets are not breaking the law because manufacturers can trademark names and logos, but not the overall look of the product. But the Food and Grocery Council hopes the laws will be changed within the next few months. Well, Valentine's Day helped flower growers to a much-needed cash injection, but more generally, global economic jitters means things are looking pretty bleak for the industry. A new study suggests revenue will slip 6% this financial year, continuing a decade-long sales slump.
In 2011 and 12, we're expecting to see revenue decline by around 6.5% to around $306 million, which is substantially lower than what it was 5 or 10 years ago.
And the revenues are being spread thin as traditional florists see increased competition from supermarkets and convenience stores. Australians are set to spend $37 billion on the internet this year, and slowly but surely many Australian businesses are enhancing their online offerings. But as the ABC's Nicole Chettle has found out, that doesn't guarantee their success.
It's a warehouse of broken dreams. Andrew DiPietro's business died, unable to compete with what he calls backyard importers.
In December we had 18,500 page views, but there weren't many inquiries. It's very hard to win the sale online. It means that everybody else needs to start lowering their prices just to compete.
First he closed his shop, now he's offloading stock simply to recoup the costs. The problem is customers were comparing this to cheap alternatives on eBay.
Nobody's safe anymore. Retailers aren't safe. Anyone can buy anything, they can sell it however they want, wherever they want, and they can slaughter the competition if that's what they choose to do.
Lawrence Mabarak faced a similar problem. After 45 years on the job, he discovered the traditional showroom wasn't helping people window shopping online.
I was getting emails from customers 4 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, and it made me realise that people haven't got as much spare time as they used to have.
So he's reduced his overheads, scrapping the store in favour of a much bigger online presence. That's tipped the business back into the black and brought customers direct to the workshop.
It's given us an opportunity to compete with the world because customers can go online, have a look at what's available in the world, tap on our shoulder and say, can you do this?
And with more and more people embracing smartphones and the internet, online sales are keeping this business afloat.
If it was retail only and based on imports, can't survive. There's nowhere to go.
Forrester research says internet shopping's tipped to grow around 12% this year, much faster than regular retail channels.
So small businesses, whether they like the technology or whether they like the internet or whether they like smartphones, need to embrace it because it is the future and it's how consumers are shopping.
And Woolworths is also trying to embrace digital strategies to lure consumers. Woolies has unveiled a virtual supermarket in Melbourne. The temporary billboard has the images of 120 key grocery items. Customers can buy them by scanning the barcodes with their smartphones. And fashion retailer Sportsgirl is also trying to tap in. It's using a similar system at one of its Melbourne stores. And a bank in Britain has created an interesting new app for smartphones. It allows people to send and receive money just by knowing the recipient's telephone number.
From the very first cash machine back in the 1960s to chip and pin more recently, technology has been slow to change banking. But now the mobile phone could transform the way we use money. That was nice, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was lovely.
Say you want to settle up with a friend who's paid a restaurant bill. A new smartphone app allows you to send money to anyone, as long as their mobile phone number is linked to their bank account. The Barclays app allows you to send up to £300. But is it safe?
We've spent a lot of time thinking about security, and we've really built in all of the security procedures and protocols that we have in our other products. And of course you have the Barclays guarantee behind it that customers won't lose money, so can't be safer than that.
So a relatively simple way to send money from your phone to your friends. It's the latest stage in a mobile money revolution, which has actually been very slow to take off in the UK. In Kenya, by contrast, transferring money using your phone is already old hat. In a country where just about everyone has a mobile phone but few have bank accounts, the M-Pesa system to send cash via text message caught on rapidly. In the UK, schemes where you use your mobile to pay for small items have been slow to take off because of the need for new handsets. Now, finally, UK banks are cooperating to link mobile phone numbers to accounts. So the Barclays scheme could soon spread elsewhere. Mobile money is becoming a reality. The question now is whether consumers will believe it's as safe as cash.
And while digital technologies pose an opportunity to some, to others they remain a very serious threat. According to a new Roy Morgan survey, the readership of Australia's metropolitan daily newspapers in the last 6 months of the year fell almost 1.5%. Magazines were down more than 4%. In casino lingo, they're known as whales, high rollers who wager hundreds of thousands of dollars on a single bet. Many of them are Chinese billionaires who've helped transform Macau and Singapore into some of the world's biggest gambling destinations. And other countries, like Australia, want a slice of this overstuffed pie.
These are not casino chips, but plaques. They're much bigger because they're worth up to $1 million Australian each. But that doesn't stop some high rollers risking it all on this baccarat table at Melbourne's Crown Casino. We're on the 39th floor of Crown, where the world's biggest gamblers come to lay some of the world's biggest bets. These rooms are part of a $2 billion redevelopment to attract the most lucrative of customers. And the overwhelming majority of these high rollers, up to 90% by some estimates, are from one country, China.
All of the major players in VIP gaming in the world are targeting the China market. And you need to spend mega dollars in this space to remain internationally competitive.
The mega dollars are being spent after the exponential growth of Macau into the world's biggest gambling destination. More than twice as much is spent in casinos here than in Las Vegas. Some industry estimates say it's 5 times as much. and countries across Asia are getting in on the game.
80% of first-time travellers out of China, for example, head to a casino. And 90% of Chinese travellers that go to the US go to Las Vegas.
Before 2005, casinos weren't even allowed in Singapore. But the lure of the gambling dollar was so strong that the government changed the rules. Now Singapore has two of the world's most expensive gambling venues. In the industry, they're called integrated resorts. Marina Bay Sands features an infinity swimming pool that overlooks the Singapore skyline, as well as the world's largest atrium casino. Resorts World Sentosa even has its own theme park.
We believe that they will be looking for other destinations, and you better be prepared to offer those customers the things that they're looking for. And they like shopping, they like restaurants, they like quality hotels, and by the way, you better have a gaming product.
Now Australia is seeking to catch up. Sydney's casino, The Star, has just completed a $900 million refurbishment to add facilities for high rollers. Like Crown, it added bigger, more luxurious hotel rooms, new private gaming rooms, and the service of 2 private jets to make it easier for the high rollers to get here. Armed with star power, the casino relaunched last year, aimed not just at Sydney-siders, but towards China as well.
Now, just before we go, let's spare a quick thought for all of our hairdressers. Many of them are so overburdened by their customers' tragic and depressing stories that they're giving up and getting out of the game. A new study focused on 23 hairdressers in Victoria and how they coped, and the report's author says many hairdressers feel close to their clients and do want to help them through difficult times, but realise they are not really trained for that. Well, that's all for this edition of the Consumer Quarter. Thanks for watching. If you've got any feedback or even story ideas, please feel free to get in touch online, on Twitter @SimonPallon, or on Facebook, search for the Consumer Quarter page and click like to stay up to date. And I'll see you next time.